Dear child of God, nothing can touch you without God's permission. Everything you face, you have the grace to overcome. Let me tell you what's going on behind the scenes. God is ordering your footsteps. He's the type of God that does things like remove one opportunity from your life that was once a blessing and replace it with an even bigger opportunity. Or he'll move certain people out of your life, people who have served their purpose for that season, and he'll replace them with people who will elevate you to the next level of faith. People who will cultivate your gifts and help you walk in godliness. You see, child of God, don't try and hold on to the dead things in your life.
All right, today's
That last
subject.
opportunity had its season. Let
Today's
it go.
subject, Spirit Talker.
God has
It's
bigger
about
opportunities in
relationships.
store.
And the very
That
first
last relationship
relationship
didn't feed you anymore.
you
Let
have
it go.
is very complex. Every relationship you have is complex. You're not just learning one thing. Okay, you're learning two things, you're learning multiple things. You got to think of yourself. You got to figure out which one you like the best. And if you don't, you should not be connected to it. So relationships, the very beginning of your relationship is the DOC, the date of conception. That is when God takes a piece of himself, put it inside your mother's womb, bonds the seed of your father and your mother egg together. It gives it life. Please understand that. Don't argue. It's just a story of a relationship, my story. And this is how I get my message through to you. So why is bonding it together for 40 weeks? You learning how to be separated from the true Father in heaven. And you learning the seed of that man that's going to be your father on earth and your mother's egg. Why is bonding get? And you learning yourself as a celestial being. Because right now for 40 weeks, you're a celestial being. You're not of God no more. You're separated from him. You're not in him. You're not part of him. You're separated. And now, guess what? You also got to learn Jesus' ways. Because that part of the spirit obeys Jesus. That part of the spirit obeys Jesus. In order to make it back through heaven, God ain't going to listen to the seed of your father or your mother's egg. You're going to leave that on earth. That is your human being. The seed of your father and your mother's egg is your human being. Your celestial being is the Spirit of God. Either you're an angel or you're a demigod, a goddess, the daughter of God. He gave her his first name. Don't argue with me. Think about it. God will let you know. While y'all taught her to run from your last name, she has God's first name. But the greatest thing she can be is that goddess, but she only can be that and can become that again as a lady. She has to let go of the devil in her, the man in her. And man has to learn how to put something before his man, and that's the gentleness in him. The gentleness is the mentalness and the kryptonite to a woman. If you want her to let go of that man in her, you have to learn to put that gentleness first. You have to learn yourself mentally, emotionally. Stop running, suppressing that about yourself and everything you're involved with. So the relationship is learning yourself mentally and emotionally. Physically should be the least important about anything. If you don't connect with it mentally, emotionally, you should not even connect with it physically. God gave me a saying within my own mind. If I can't get in your head, I don't want between your legs. I will never tread on God's best friend. His best friend has his name. She comes second to him. Best friend. The only thing comes between her and God is the child of God. Man is here if he thinks he's a man. He better bow as a gentleman. And before he can bow for God, he has to bow for something greater than himself. That's the daughter of God, the goddess, and God's child, then God. Man cannot bypass a goddess to get in front of God. That's forbidden. Understand that. But understand the complexity of a relationship. You cannot mix committing with dating. When you're in a relationship, you're dating not just the individual you're dating, but you're also dating yourself. You're trying to learn who you are. You're trying to learn who you are. So as you date this individual, what do they bring out? And you have to ask yourself, mental and emotional, do you like who you are? It's not about considering the physical, the materialistic, how nice his car, big his car, how much money he has, that. Okay, how big her booty is, how big her titties is, how big her lips is. Okay, that's the least important about a human being. You got to know, do you like her mentally and emotionally? And do you like who you are mentally and emotionally? Do you see the complexity of that? I know your mother and father never told you to look at relationship, but that's how relationship needs to be looked at. See, a mother and father don't know what they raised in their children. They so disconnected. A father raised the greatest thing a woman can be, and that's a lady. A mother raised the greatest thing a man can be. That's a gentleman. Understand that. Even if you're not aware of that, that's what they're supposed to bring. And even if how the home was broken, if we have the level of intelligence to know that, and even if though our parent was not there, and these children today, when they're born with knowledge far beyond their who they are. Because the spirit keeps on learning. The spirit is the forever life. The spirit can come back at any chosen thing that Jesus sees fit for. He runs company earth. Understand that. And when that spirit keeps that remembering, that deja vu, all that, remember. But the only way you can remember is your third eye. Knowing what you think is communication with you and God. God speaks to his spirit within you. Yes, you are God. You are part of God. Just as much you're part of your father and your mother, you are part of God. Understand that. It's not hard to understand that. You're only 20% of your father, 80% of your mother. I know men want to argue that. She carried him around for 40 weeks. It's a triple 4x4. 40 weeks, 40% of her flesh. The fee of a female is the flesh that feeds the fetus inside a womb. 40% of that womb for 40 weeks. It's easy. If you cannot give that, come on. That's your ignorance. A gentleman respect that and know that. I am so happy I'm an angel, a spirit son of God, trying to earn my wings back. If you cannot admit to what a woman gives to earth, your ignorance is what's going to keep you out of heaven. And you're going to be doomed to live it over and over again until you get it and admit it. In whatever form that Jesus sees fit for you, come back to earth. Let's stop being done. Right now, we need to update religion, laws, and the sanctuary of marriage with all men and women. We have the level of intelligence to know what's wrong. We have the level, but we can't even do it in our personal relationships. How do you think we're going to do it in a society relationship? You can't blame man for what your ignorance is when you know better. Because you know why? God knows your spirit. He knows your life force. That is him inside. He downloads. When you are thinking about your thoughts, that is you having a conversation with God. What comes of that conversation is called wisdom. When you learn to speak this wisdom that you receive from God, you speak the living word of God. You do not find the living word in a dead tree or a book. You find the living word within your spirit. Think about your thoughts as part of your third eye. Common sense, it's not common amongst human beings. I don't have your father's seed, nor do I have your mother's egg. But I have the same what bonds it together, and that's the Spirit of God. And when you learn to be able to see with the Spirit of God, think with the Spirit of God, then guess what? We're all connected. That's a celestial being. That is the first life. That is the forever life, living within a human life. It can live in a tree. It can live in a geese. It can live in any living thing that Jesus sees fit. We all spirits of God. Anything God has reigned on and have a spirit, that is what we are. Regardless if your ignorance want to admit to it or not. And you know, when you take something you don't feel right about, even eating a plant, and if you eat it in vain without no just for it, it's in vain. It's ignorant. But that's much a deeper subject. Understand your own personal relationship. First relate to that individual, who they are and who you are. Who they are, who you are. Who they are mentally, who you are mentally. Who you are emotionally, who they are emotionally. Then guess what? Put the physical there if you choose to. But once you sail that ship and you crack that bottle on that ship and that ship sail, and you don't like who you are mentally, emotionally, you took it now. There ain't no need to change, especially not in an ignorant man's mind. Oh, girl, because that's selling the deal. So don't sell the deal before you know what the deal is. Don't seal the deal until you know what the deal is. Don't let that ship leave the harbor. Do you like who you are within that relationship? Do you like who they are within that relationship? Is that what you want to deal with? And that's who you want to be. And really, first, you can tell them, look, I like you physically. Damn, you're fine. You know, shit. Boy, I'm just telling you, everybody will tell you. But you got to understand, young lady, I don't like myself mentally or emotionally. I'm going to have to go deal with myself. You off the hook. You are the shit, right? But I don't like me. If someone's so stuck on themselves, they won't ask the question that they should ask. Because if they take the time to listen, like a lady, learn, then they'll know. And I probably wouldn't even have to say it. Vice versa. If nobody's listening and learning and loving what you're saying, and they hating what you're saying, then they don't like you and you don't like them. And they're not listening to you. Don't you want to be listened to? Everybody hears. But it's a difference between hearing and listening. There's a difference between want and desire. There's a difference between dating and committing. Don't get them mixed up. You'll get hurt. Have a blessed day. Spirit Talker.